Why, hello there. Ellen, I am so thrilled you're here. You have such a beautiful story and a beautiful heart, and I'm really excited for you to share about all of it with
Well,
people.
thank you for the invitation.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. I was thinking back to the time that we first spoke in this context and just
Mhm.
what you were dealing with at the time, and I was hoping you would just take us through your journey and what you were
Sure,
dealing with, and then ultimately what changed for you.
sure. I was in this job where I was working really hard. I was working till, wee hours in the morning. I was working weekends, and I just couldn't seem to get ahead. I just couldn't seem to um, catch up. And it was such a disappointment because I was very excited about this job in the beginning. I thought, I'm going to be able to achieve a lot. I'm going to be able to stretch and grow. And here I am. I can't even kill off my to-do list. And it just keeps growing and growing. And I noticed that I often found myself in a job where I was a workaholic. I sacrificed my hobbies, the things that I really loved. I would cancel dates with my friends. And especially this one, like no matter what I sacrificed, it never seemed to be enough.
Uh,
And yeah, so like I'm like, I don't know why I keep finding myself in this kind of situation. And I'm educated, I'm flexible, I'm resourceful. And why is it that I can't clear my plate and other people seem to get to go home and have relationships and a good time, and I'm here at the office. So
there was
um,
something you said specifically to me. Do you mind if I share what it was?
oh, please do.
When
Yeah,
we first spoke, you said, I can't get my head above water. I
yeah,
find I'm constantly putting out fires.
yeah, yeah. And I wasn't able to do the creative and strategic work that I love to do. So like, again, like no payoff.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
said, I work nights and weekends. I can't seem to get ahead. And it seemed like one of the most frustrating experiences that you were having is you said, I used to be a superstar, but it's
Mhm.
gone now. And it's to all accounts, for anyone from the outside, you would think, well, why aren't you a superstar? You're brilliant. You're intelligent, you're kind, you're thoughtful, you're great at what you do. How does it go away? And yet, that is a really common experience
Mm.
where we had something and we're at one point it was going well, and we spend our time just trying to get back there again.
Yeah, and I kept feeling like, why am I in trouble? Why, why can't I just, deliver and keep my promises and knock it out of the park like I know I can.
Right.
Yeah, it was very frustrating because like I felt like I'm the same person. Like, where'd my mojo go?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's got to be frustrating as well when everybody else thinks you should continue to be the superstar, but you don't feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, my boss at the time even said, like, I need you to be the Ellen I know you can be. And I
And
just
yeah.
I just had nothing to say about that.
And how was that? Like, you just felt like you couldn't get in touch with who you knew you could be, or what was that experience like?
It's like everything I touch turned to poop. And like, why is it? Like,
Yeah.
where's my golden touch? And like and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really funny. I kept, every time something wouldn't go the way that I wanted, I'm like, I would say like out loud, oh my gosh, I'm so in trouble.
Mm,
You know, and really I wasn't, but that was like that's what flew out of my mouth.
yeah. Boy, it's amazing
Yeah.
how when that flies out of your mouth, the world starts to kind of line up accordingly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd mentioned when we spoke, you said, I work harder than anybody. I power through and say, I'll make it work. Then they'll see how good I really am.
Yeah.
And it
And
just,
that's how I've won in the past. Like there may be people who are more charming, there may be people who are smarter, but like I can grind it out.
yeah. But it got to a place where it wasn't causing results anymore. It had become that way that always got you the results in the
Mhm.
past had expired. It was bankrupt now.
I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I cut out everything that fed me. I'm an artist, and I love being with people. And I was alone all the time because I was working, and I gave up. I canceled my studio membership because I wasn't going, and
Yeah.
even that didn't help me get ahead.
And as you looked out at the future, what seemed predictable at that point, Ellen?
I worked really hard to get into this job because I was a freelancer for so long, and I got this contract job and worked really hard to make a good impression and make connections. And I thought, man, if I leave this job, like I don't know when the next one's coming. It took me a long time to convince this, big corporation that I could work in an office again.
Yeah.
And like, what am I going to do? Where's my next job going to come from?
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I should just suck it up and just wait until like hold my nose until I get the next one. But then, like in that kind of situation, who can do any job hunting?
Right. And I
Right?
mean, there was no time for anything. And none of it was
Mhm.
sustainable.
Yeah,
That was
none
the
of it.
place where you were when we spoke. It couldn't go on that way
Yeah.
any longer.
Like I actually went to the store and I got woozy, and like not like I fell over, but I had to sit down.
Yeah.
And I started to think, if I faint and hit my head on the sink at home, like they'll just replace me. It'll be
Yeah.
like really, I'm so replaceable. Why am I making myself sick over this?
Yes.
So, like I saw your ad. I'm like, okay, like I get that, like I have a blind spot about something. Like I get this is not the first time it happened. This has happened to me. And I get that um, I need to find out what that is because like I don't want this to repeat anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done with this experience. I really am.
I can't work my way out of this one. Put my head and down and push through this.
I gave it all I got. So like there, you know, there's not going to be any difference.
And did you think it was possible for you to change? I mean, did you think it had gone on too long that you were intractably stuck, or what did you
I
think?
wondered. I wondered. It's like, was I fooling myself and thinking that I was better than this? Um, and like I've done a lot of seminars. I've made breakthroughs. I've learned a lot about myself, but I just couldn't get at this thing. Like I said, it's like I've been in therapy. I've taken all sorts of seminars, and I'm like, okay, if I'm this self-aware and this like evolved, what is it about me that I can't get what I want in an
Right.
area where I'm putting in so much effort?
Yes.
You know, like, am I extra flawed? Like, do you know, like things that work for other people but don't seem to work for me?
Right.
Like what? Like I said, like there's something that I couldn't put my hands on. I couldn't see it. And
Which, yeah, it just contributed to more of the same. I'll just work even harder
yeah.
to figure this out.
Hmm.
It
I'll
was
do it,
the ultimate catch-22.
right. I'll do it harder. I'll do it faster. I'll do it later. I'll do
Yes.
it from the bottom. I'll do it from the top. I'll do it sideways, and
Yes.
just wasn't working.
There was no way to work yourself out of the pit of working too
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what? Were you able to take a leap if you were stuck like this isn't going to happen? This may not
Well,
work for me. Maybe I'm so flawed.
well, like when we talked, you helped me see that, there's something underneath. And I said, that's exactly it. There's something underneath that, that is creating this cycle. Because, like I said, this is not the first time it happened to me, and this is not the only area of my life where doing and doing and doing doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Mhm.
So you decided to take a leap and you were
Yeah.
going to put aside the conversations of, well, what if I'm so flawed? It just really can't work for me. And you went forward. And then what were you able to accomplish?
You know what? I think it made such a fundamental shift for me. Um, we talked a little while ago, and I had quit the job, and I was in the process of looking for another. And even though like I hadn't gotten any results yet, I knew that I felt fundamentally different. What I said to you was, um, I'm so, all my life I've been accustomed to looking outside. Am I loved? Am I worthy? Am I valuable? And through the work that we did together, I got that, like I'm actually the source of all of that. That the thing that kept me looking outside, um, I was never going to get there. And so like you helped me see that actually like I'm the source of love in my life. I'm the love of my life. And since I'm the source, I can never be out of it. Right? So like what is
That
it?
is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
You know?
I'm sorry. I am the love of my life. Yes.
Yeah. And it sounds, like I don't know how it sounds, but like for me it was like it was just such a basic shift. Like um my viewpoint changed so dramatically. So like going to a job interview, being the love of my life was so different. It's like I didn't have to prove anything. I'd be on the phone or I'd walk into the place, and I'm like, you know what? I don't have to beat you over the head about how good I am. It's just apparent. It should be obvious, right?
Oh, just so good. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but it's just so amazing. Yes. So was it apparent to them
Yeah.
how
Well,
amazing you are?
well, what happened was like on my way out, I contacted a manager that I worked for, previous to this job. And, we overlapped for about 5 minutes because I was a contractor and my previous manager had retired, and he came in and we worked together for maybe like a month, or 5 weeks. And so he knew who I was. And I let him know that I was leaving and these were the circumstances. And, I'd really love it if he would consider me if there was an opening. And we had a couple of conversations. There was an opening immediately, but we talked about what I wanted. And he said, this is actually not the job for you. And I thanked him, thank you for thinking of me, and thank you for, considering what my, needs and wants are. And
Very different than you're not the one for the job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like he said, well, I have this opening and I need to fill it. And I know that you'd be great at it, but this is not what you want. Mm. Wow. And I said, you're right. Yep. Thank you for your consideration. Because in the past I would have been like, oh no, I can totally make it work. Right? Like, oh, yes. Like, I just want to get in and I'll move up. Right?
I'll work so hard eventually. How did you say it before? Right. I have to see this from our first call, this note. I just lost it. But there we go. I will power through and say, I'll make it work. Then they'll finally see how good I am.
Yeah.
Oh, whole different world.
Yeah. So he calls me in like early February. And he says, well, I have this opening. Do you want to apply for it? And actually it's very much on the track of what I was looking for. I was looking for something strategic and creative, and being from a very regulated industry, most of my experience was in print, and I was seeing all of these job openings that wanted digital and email marketing. And this position is leading digital and email marketing for this line of business, this national line of business.
Are you working yourself ragged?
No. No, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for some executive decision about the handoff of this project and blah blah blah. And I was tempted to say, like I have some capacity. Right. Is there something I could help with? And then I'm like, you know what? Like, we're going to be really busy soon, and my boss knows perfectly well how much or how little I have to do every day.
Yeah.
And I did feel a twinge of like, oh, I have to prove myself. But then I'm like, wait a minute. He called me. He called me, and two of his teammates came forward to vouch for me. Like, there's nothing to prove. And so, I'm reading some research. I'm doing some foundational work. But I'm not texting anybody and to see if they have anything to do.
Wow. So, okay, you're the love of your life.
Yes.
You've gotten this new job that's exactly what you want to be doing. You're not working yourself ragged. Mm-hmm. How is it to be in your shoes now?
I am exploring the area of self-care. I heard of it before. I've heard people talk about it, and I could talk about like what works for other people, but I'm coming to understand what works for me. And I love dirt. I'm a ceramic artist. I love clay in all its forms. I love plants. Since I got the job, I bought a ridiculous number of house plants, and I have a balcony. It's not like I have a yard or any kind of like rolling estates. I've been growing greens in pots, and so it's like my little farmstead. And it just makes me so happy to see new green leaves and shoots and, things growing roots. And like, I love to propagate from clippings. And, it's, you can tell how happy I am by the condition of my plants.
And what's the condition of your plants? In case anybody's wondering at this point.
Flourishing, thriving. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got this job, I said, well, it has like most of what I want. It has the kind of manager that I want. It has the kind of workflow that I want. Of course, I want the fancy title and the big salary. The huge, lavish salary. I'm going to choose to bloom where I'm planted.
Mm.
Ellen,
yes.
In the past, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like make it happen. And the word that I chose for this year is ripen.
Yes.
To soften, sweeten, and deepen in who I am.
May I share a couple things from the very first time we spoke? Our conversation, our one-to-one breakthrough session.
Yes.
I asked you, if you don't change direction, what do you think is predictable? Oh, how depressing, you said. I would have heavy resignation, just feel like, I guess there's just something wrong with me. Maybe I'll just get some mediocre job and work myself to death. Or maybe I'll just not strive too hard and give up. I'll try to be happy with what I've got, but that won't happen. I'll just resign myself to that's just the way that it is. I'll pretend that it's not so bad. There are people who are worse off, but I just don't want that, you said. How do those words sound now? Such a short time ago.
Yeah, it was, it was not even a year ago. And I started to think, all those things that I want, maybe they're not meant for me. Maybe I'm just not fated to have that. Maybe it was a fantasy to think that I could have everything I wanted.
And for people who think it's a fantasy for them to have everything they want, and they think that, like you thought, well, I'll just resign myself to the fact that I can't have what I want. Well, I'll just tell myself, console myself with, oh, other people have it worse. What would you say to them, Ellen?
Actually, that is the illusion. That you can't have it. That it's not meant for you, that you are not capable, that you're not worthy. That is the illusion.
It's just so exquisite. It's like, I remember you'd mentioned that fear and panic kind of ruled the day.
Yeah.
And where are they now? Fear and panic, your old companions?
Oh, I see them once in a while, but it's more like, well, thank you for raising an alarm, and actually, everything's okay. It's like one of my committee members, but I have many committee members. There's also the comparison and expectations committee. And they all have a purpose. I listen to them all, but they don't get to drive.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Boy, if there's ever an example of somebody who's back in the driver's seat of their own life, I don't know who could possibly be a better example of that. Ellen, yay. The love of your life. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, um, so interesting that this course and the breakthroughs that I've had, it's actually um, made other things, like other types of coaching, other seminars more effective. You know, I'm actually getting more out of those other things because of the work that we did together. And um, yeah, it there's that E. E. Cummings quote, in a world of yes, there are many worlds, and so this course, like, it opened me, it uncovered that yes, it was always there,
Yes.
but it was put away.
To have lived life with your yes put away.
Yeah.
Oh, what a tragedy that would have been for you to live life from there, as opposed to the yes that is playing itself out over and over again now. Just magical. Thank you for sharing your heart and your life and your story. It's so generous. I'm honored to get to walk this path with you, and thank you.
Thank you,
Huge
Cheryl.
congratulations. Yay!
Okay.
I am the love of my life is the most glorious thing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to say it really did start with this one conversation. And if you want to hop on the phone and have this conversation and start this journey in your own life, here's the link. It's CherylHunter.com/apply. And just like I did with Ellen, we'll get on the phone and look at exactly what's not working and why. And then we'll look at the direction you want to go. And if I can help you, I'll let you know. But I promise you a valuable call regardless. Beautiful. Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.